Chrollo is looking to upgrade and evolve his nin ability Skill Hunter so that he can deal with Hisoka once and for all. But what exactly does that mean? What does it look like, right? Well, if you've been tuned in over the past week, you'll know I've put out a couple videos talking about this subject in general. And so if you want the deep dive on the national heist he needs to pull off or what specific nin abilities he might be looking to steal once he does upgrade Skill Hunter, then check out those. But for this video, I wanted to specifically respond to this comment I got from Louise. And first of all, Louise, thank you so much for the support. But Louise says that I don't think Chrollo needs to rob the treasures as a condition to steal a powerful nin ability. I think instead he is looking to rob the treasures to actually upgrade his skill hunter, such as lowering the steps required to steal an ability. And I agree with you for the most part here. I think we're basically saying the same thing, just in a little bit different way. Like it's semantics at the end of the day. Because yes, I think stealing the national treasures will upgrade Skill Hunter. Now, what form that takes, we don't know yet. Perhaps it is loosening the restrictions that he currently falls under. But where I think we differ a little bit is I think the purpose for him doing that is to specifically steal a powerful nin ability that, for whatever reason, is currently impossible to steal. So I think based on his restrictions or based on some nuance of this particular ability, Skill Hunter cannot steal it, meaning he has to upgrade it to steal it. And it may take the form of just getting rid of one of his restrictions, or it may take the form of just evolving Skill Hunter completely in some way that then opens various doors. Very much similar to the bookmark, like you mentioned as an example. And I too think something like the York New City heist could have been the requisite requirement to create the bookmark. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but based on what we know about how this works, that would make sense, right? But the bookmark didn't necessarily make it easier for him to steal nin abilities, but it all of the sudden gave him the opportunity to wield two nin abilities at once, or one with the book put away, right? So similarly, I think this upgrade he's searching for is something that will just change the dynamic entirely. But again, I think it's semantics at the end of the day because we agree that he is upgrading Skill Hunter, but I just think that's in service of getting something that he currently cannot. All right, so to put this another way and hopefully illustrate the subtle difference between what Luis and I are saying is that I believe Luis currently thinks that Chrollo could theoretically steal any nin ability. It's just a matter of him getting a good opportunity to. Because Luis says that, we currently see Chrollo with powerful nin abilities. And Luis, not trying to put any words in your mouth, so please let me know in the comments if I'm misconstruing what you said. But I, on the other hand, do not think it's possible for Chrollo to steal just any nin ability, assuming he got the opportunity. I think there are some nuanced situations that either via his current restrictions or via just the nature of how certain abilities work, it's not feasible for Chrollo to steal them. So I believe he's looking to upgrade Skill Hunter in order to open that door, if that makes sense. So the answer may be that he gets loosened restrictions, thus upgrading Skill Hunter on the whole, the very same way Luis mentioned. I just think the difference is the motive behind it. He's not necessarily just trying to make his job easier by loosening restrictions. Obviously, that's a win for him either way, but I think it's a specific need to get a certain ability that he has his eye on. So let's take a look at the current restrictions, and I can maybe give some examples of what I mean here. So as we know it right now, in order to steal an ability, he must first see the ability with his eyes. He then must next ask the person who has the ability a question about their nin ability, and they have to answer him. Third, he must then get that person to place their palm on the handprint of his book's cover. And finally, he must complete all of those steps within 1 hour. All right, so for example, let's take a look at this first restriction. Chrollo must witness the ability with his eyes. So how does that work when it comes to something like Meleoron's ability, where he literally becomes invisible? Is Chrollo capable of witnessing something like that? Or how about Pakunoda's ability, for example, where she can touch somebody and basically peer through their mind and memories, a process that entirely happens within the mind. So is Chrollo capable of witnessing this ability in action? Where's the line drawn there on what he actually has to see? These two may be impossible for him to steal as it currently stands. Or in the case of condition two, needing your target to answer a nin question about the ability, how would that work with something like the Succession War Guardian nin beast, right? Because it is a prince that is wielding it, and that would be the person you had to ask a question to, but it's not actually their nin that they're utilizing, because it's actually their ancestors' post-mortem nin, right? So it seems as if it would be impossible for Chrollo to steal one of those based on his current restrictions. And just to be clear here, the Guardian Nin Beasts are such a specific thing that it might be impossible for Chrollo to steal them no matter what, but it's just an example that made sense in light of Condition 2. And then for Condition 3, where you have to get the target to place their palm on the handprint of the book, how loose can we get with the rules there? Does it have to be a literal humanoid hand that places on there, and thus it wouldn't work for a Chimera Ant's Nin ability, for example, or perhaps one of the calamities of the Dark Continent? And for record here, we don't necessarily know that these Dark Continent calamities are using Nin abilities per se, but again, just illustrating an example here, like how strict are those restrictions? And then beyond the restrictions themselves, there's some abilities that even if Chrollo could theoretically steal, we don't know if he actually would be able to wield. For example, Netero's ability, right? Does Chrollo have the requisite like training in order to move his palms and pray that quickly, right? Would he actually be able to use this? Or Killua's Godspeed, right? It's a product of his training as a young assassin getting electrocuted all of the time. He is essentially immune to lightning. Chrollo does not have that same experience, right? So would he even be able to do this? And similarly with Melody and her instrumentation, with her, music ability, if Chrollo doesn't know how to play an instrument, would he be able to properly wield this? And then last but not least, we don't know how Chrollo's skill hunter interacts with multifaceted abilities, like Kurapika's chains, for example. As a specialist, he has multiple uses and applications for his ability, right? So if Chrollo were to steal and meet the requirements for Judgment Chain, for example, would he then have access to all of Kurapika's chains, or would he need to steal each one individually? And what about Emperor Time, right? Is that something he's capable of stealing, or do you need the physical Kurta clan Scarlet Eyes to be able to wield it? These are things that we have just never really seen addressed with Skill Hunter. So maybe he can steal them, maybe he can't. We just don't know. And just to be clear here, I'm not saying any of these examples I'm talking about are the specific hurdle that Chrollo is trying to get over, but rather they're just seemingly are abilities that Skill Hunter, as it currently stands, would not be able to copy. So that's why I do think there's something specific in mind that he is reaching for, that he must upgrade Skill Hunter for, as opposed to just trying to upgrade it to make his life easier in general. Also, because we know that Benolanov said that there is a specific page that Chrollo has his eyes on, and he also says, I need rare and powerful abilities if I'm going to be able to defeat Hisoka, which to me speaks to something specific as opposed to just, again, making it better in general. Anyways, to bring this all the way back around, Louise, I honestly think we're on the same page here, and it really is just a semantics thing, because at the end of the day, he is upgrading Skill Hunter, and that very may well take the shape of loosening the restrictions, but we'll have to see. And I apologize for this video almost being 9 minutes long. I got a bit in the weeds there. I thought this would be a quick one, but as always, thank you guys so much for watching.